אני מבקש לעדכן אתכם מה עשינו בסוריה ומה נעשה בסוריה. אנחנו קבענו מדיניות ברורה. פירוז המרחב דרומית לדמשק מהגולן ועד אזור הר הדרוזים. זה קו אחד. הקו השני, שמירה על האחים של האחים שלנו, הדרוזים בהר הדרוזים. שני הדברים האלה הופרו על ידי המשטר בדמשק. הוא שלח צבא דרומית לדמשק, לתוך האזור שצריך להיות מפורז, והוא התחיל לטבוח בדרוזים. את זה לא יכולנו לקבל בשום צורה. ולכן הנחיתי את צה"ל לפעול ולפעול בעוצמה. חיל האוויר תקף גם את כנופיות הרצח וגם את הרק"ם, והוספתי יעד גם לתקוף בדמשק את משרד הביטחון. בתוצאה מהפעילות העצומה הזאת השתררה הפסקת אש, והכוחות הסורים נסוגו חזרה לדמשק. זה חשוב, והפסקת אש שהושגה מתוך עוצמה. לא מתוך בקשות, לא מתוך תכנונים, מתוך עוצמה. ואנחנו משיגים שלום מתוך עוצמה, שקט מתוך עוצמה, ביטחון מתוך עוצמה, בשבע חזיתות. זו גם תהיה המשך המדיניות שלנו. לא נאפשר לכוחות צבא לרדת דרומית לדמשק, לא נאפשר לפגוע בדרוזים, בג'בל דרוז. אני רוצה לשתף אתכם בדבר שריגש אותי מאוד ביומיים האחרונים. פנה אליי השייח מואפק טריף, מנהיג הדרוזים בישראל. הוא אמר לי את הדבר הבא. הוא אמר לי, בזמן השואה, כשטבחו בכם, אתם היהודים קראתם לעזרה ואף אחד לא בא. היום טובחים בנו הדרוזים ואנחנו קוראים לעזרה של מדינת ישראל. ואני אמרתי, הוא צודק, ופעלנו ונמשיך לפעול לפי הצורך.
Well, they got a lot of acting to do, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you that right now, because right around what is being reported to be 50 to 70,000 Islamic jihadists are currently descending on the Druze over in southern Syria. PA Outdoors coming in, gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Says hello from Pittsburgh here as always. Heck yeah, man. Good to see you in the house. Tristan Allen coming in, gifting out a Speak the Truth membership as well. I felt like there were some other ones I saw as I was sitting there doing that. But listen, it's been a busy day for the Druze over inside of Syria. It started off with a lot of fighting, and then we ended up seeing Al Sawida get taken back by the Druze. And I guess maybe I ought to spin everybody up to par before I get into the storyline for the day, just in case you're a first-time watcher, or maybe you're not caught up. Maybe it's been a second since you've been in here. But let me get you guys pulled up on the map then, so that we can explain to you exactly what's kind of been going on over there over those last couple of days, because it's gotten pretty, it's gotten quickly out of control. And I think it was just a matter of time before we ended up seeing Jilani and his forces just start to do some really jacked up stuff over inside Syria. And I think we all called it. I know I sat here and said, you don't get to fight 10 years of, under the flag of radical Islam, and then all of a sudden it just goes away. So here we've got Israel, there we've got the Golan Heights, and we're going to zoom down over in here, and we're going to be talking about this town that's right down over here on the map. We're going to zoom in on. It's called Al Sawida, right? Or Swida, as people are, pronouncing it, right? So Swida. This town within itself has one of multiple different, I don't want to call them sects of Druze, but different religious leaders, right? That all fall under these different sheikhs, right? But anyways, so down here in Swida, a couple days ago, they had an issue with the Bedouins. Now, the Bedouins down in this area like to go around. They like to kidnap people, and they like to kill them. They also like to raid villages. They like to burn Druze house towns, etc. And the Druze finally decided that they were going to fight back against this madness. Don Booz coming in, gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Appreciate it. Now, out of these 4 different Druze tribes that exist, between Israel, over inside Syria, but what you ended up having was 3 of them that basically said, we'll be loyal to Jilani. And the problem is that there was one of them that said, yeah, you know what, we're not doing that. And that is the tribe that they ended up going after and shwacking back in April down inside Al Sawida. Well, then you ended up having these little Muslim Bedouins that came along and started fighting and going after the Druze. Well, the Druze fought back. HTS didn't like that. All right. So the Syrian government didn't like that. And they ended up sending a bunch of forces down into Al Sawida over the last couple of days, and ended up getting in a massive firefight, which resulted in Israel striking, Jilani's troops and their armor that they were sending down there all along this highway in between Damascus. And I'll remind you guys that months ago, months ago, Jelani promised that his troops would not be going south of Damascus. Israel told him to stay the hell out for this very reason, but they didn't listen. Instead, Jelani decided that he was just going to do whatever he wanted, even though he's not technically the president, and he's going to send his troops down there to bring peace and normalcy, right? He's going to go down there and he's going to stabilize this conflict between these groups. And what ended up happening was Jelani's forces ended up going down into Suida, bringing armor along with them. Israel ended up conducting airstrikes. We saw the airstrikes that took place over on the Syrian MOD in Damascus, and we saw airstrikes over the presidential palace. Jelani fled, ran somewhere, don't even know. He put out a statement this morning after his forces ended up pulling out of Suida, and he was like, you know what? We're happy we accomplished our mission after beating the hell out of them, after massacring people, after shaving their mustaches, after doing all of that. After we did all of that, we finally established peace. Well, then what ended up happening was you ended up having some of these Bedouins come out and be like, oh, the Druze are massacring us. They're murdering us. It kind of reminded me of like the same whining and crying that the Palestinians did after October 7th. Yeah, you invade somebody else's place and you start murdering their people, you're going to get your teeth kicked in. And they got their teeth kicked in and they got upset about it. Well, when they started whining and crying about it, putting out videos on social media, can't make this crap up, all of a sudden you've got 50 to 70,000 Islamic freaking tribes that are descending on Al-Suida as we speak. And they're over and they're surrounding the area. I got some graphics and stuff to show you here in a little bit. I got some new firefight videos. They're coming out. Now, before they ended up descending down there, what ended up happening was that there was a ceasefire that they had agreed upon. The United States government came out, the freaking ambassador to Syria ended up coming out, and they were hailing it, saying, oh, look at all these great, wonderful things we did. It's diplomacy. Diplomacy worked. We told them that they need to talk, and they pulled out. Well, no, that didn't turn out so good at all. Because again, 50,000 plus are descending down there right now, heading down there. And they're already have kind of gotten in there and they started picking fights, and they're in firefights. And if it ends up falling by morning, yeah, it's going to be a problem. Now, before we get into the serious talk, I want to just take you guys over to a quick, you know what? No, I'm going to save this for the end because this is more of a serious video. So I'm going to save that one for the end. And to kind of make matters worse, to bring this up on the international community. I know some of you guys asked me, well, what's Turkey going to say about this? Who's Turkey going to back, right? Where's that going to come in? Turkey ended up coming out and stating that, and Erdogan is who I'm talking about in particular, and stating that Israel conducting the airstrikes on these forces was completely and totally unacceptable. How dare Israel defend the Druze and go conduct these airstrikes? That pissed off Erdogan. And of course, that's after he made other pro-Russian statements, in Matt's opinion, within the last 24 hours as well. Don Booz came in gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships, and Shimmy E? Yeah, becoming a true supporter. Appreciate you, man. Hydra Slayer 247 has been a member for 1 month now. Hell yeah, Hydra Slayer. So yeah, Turkey, they're going to continue to back their Muslim brethren over there. I know everybody's like, no, it's not a Muslim state. No, trust me, it is. All right. Now, with those troops pulling out, we ended up seeing the Druze raising their flag over inside Al-Suida a little bit earlier on today. If you go back and watch this morning's live stream, that's what you're going to see. Druze ended up going over it, taking it back. All the armor, HTS troops pulled out. They were jumping on trucks and they rode their happy butts all the way back up to Damascus. And then we saw the formation of everybody coming out, which led me, I almost actually titled tonight's video as Civil War is Brewing. But the problem is Civil War already done broke out before I could make tonight's video. Here is all your freaking jihadists that made their way all the way down to the outskirts of Al-Suida.
الله أكبر والعزة لله ولرسوله تم تحرير مدخل سويدة الفضل لله عز وجل فها هي عشائر سوريا إذا غضبت كالبراكين نعم أم كنتم أيها دروز الخونة عملاء الصهاينة إن كنتم تظنون أن البلاد بلا حماة تعالوا وانظروا جيشا يباد هنا قبر الطغاة وكم دفن.
Now, I've seen about 1,000 videos in Squiggly throughout the day of all of these guys that are heading down over into Al-Suida, and they're all saying that they're going to end up burning the frickin' Druze house down, murdering these people. There is an image that I'm not going to show that was floating around Syrian media allegedly that was encouraging them to go down there and actually rape Druze women. I can't make this crap up. So how's this going to turn out? Well, 50,000 versus this tiny little Druze community down there. The Druze have been running their butts over there. Yeah, Druze raising Israeli flags or flying Israeli flags, like going from their cars, like screaming. They're super happy that Israel jumped in to bail them out because, I mean, who the heck else is going to do it, right? Don't expect the UN to get in there and knock it out. This is some of the first videos that we ended up seeing of these guys mobilizing to push down there. And just to give you guys an idea, when I say 50,000 that are descending on this place, I absolutely mean it. Check this out.
السلام عليكم. السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. احكي لنا الواقع يا شيخ. هاي أنت معشاير منطقة السويدة، كلياتكم أجمع وما شاء الله همتكم عالية، فشنو رسالتكم؟
Now, I'll just go ahead and mute it right there. You don't have to speak squiggly to know exactly, like, you just heard the guy talk and say Sweda, right? Like, that's where they're on their way to do. Smokey says, Erdogan will always back Islam. He wants to rebuild the Ottoman Turk Empire. Yeah, I do believe that. I think that's exactly what he's going for. So these are some of the fighters that are on their way down there. I didn't have time to get all these videos translated because, honestly, there's so many of them that are pouring out right now about all these jihadists that are heading down there. It's freaking incredible. And you're about to see, like, the amount of people that are going down there. It's so many, in fact, that over inside Damascus, allegedly HTS is blocking off the highways and stuff, not allowing them down there. Well, I'll tell you, I saw one video supposedly of that taking place, and it looked like one dude standing in the middle of the road and other people turning. Almost looked like a road guard that was telling him, no, go that way. Go that way. If you go that way, you're going to get to Sweden, right? Kind of what it reminded me of. But yeah, I mean, it just like literally 50 to 70,000 is what the report is. So the way all of this ended up turning out was one of their freaking, like, you know, sect leaders or religious leaders ended up coming out and putting out the call. You know, our Bedouin brothers are getting massacred by the Druze. Now, in all fairness, I did see a video reportedly coming out of Al Sweda, which showed Druze that were murdering some of the, what do you want to call them, Bedouins that were kind of like captured and left behind. There was maybe about 5 of them that ended up getting shot up. I didn't see a bunch of them being murdered like you end up seeing these guys do. It was only about 5 of them. So it kind of makes me wonder if it wasn't some fighters that they ended up shooting. Either way, it's a crime, right? Like no matter if they're jihadists or not, you're not supposed to be murdering them in the streets. Like, we can all agree to that. It's also the Middle East. But to the extent which we go over, which is going, to be, how do I want to say this, genocide, what the Druze are facing, I could absolutely understand why they're doing that, because that's exactly what these people are doing. This video ended up coming from Al Jazeera, is allegedly some of Jelani's forces that ended up meeting up with some of these militia members, because again, HTS isn't exactly a formalized military. There is certain factions of it that they're trying to take and formalize, but a lot of them reportedly broke off and joined some of these like Islamic jihadist tribesmen that are now on their way to go and massacre the Druze.
Allahu Akbar, هاي لبين من جديد. Allahu Akbar, ابشروا ابشروا. هاي بداجة ابشروا، جاتكم مدحة بداجة. الله أكبر الله أكبر ابشروا. الله.
So you guys see like a bunch of stuff that's on fire and all those different things burning. Well, which I find absolutely amazing, they're all pouring in from a certain side, and it happens to be the same side that HTS forces ended up coming. This update, I'm going to give the guy a shout out to in a little bit, because he's got a really small account, but he did a really good job on this. Ended up kind of showing the actual situation at hand. Everything that you guys see over there inside of the light green on that map, yeah, that's where they're all coming at and coming in from. So they're literally all just kind of like swooping in down from like the northwest to the west, going over, and basically by morning, if not by now, I would expect Sweden to be completely and totally surrounded. MT says Erdogan wants to give Druze the Armenia treatment. Dude, you know, for the life of me, I cannot understand. And I mean, I can understand when I think of their perspective, but for the life of me, I can't understand why they wouldn't carve out like a little section for the frickin' Druze, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know why they couldn't do that. I don't know why the Kurds couldn't have their own place. Well, actually, I do. I do know. And let's be perfectly honest, the answer is radical Islam. Because of radical Islam, they're not going to be allowed to have their own place. There, I said it. All right. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like an absolute crap show that's going on over there. Yep. So all of their little forces, which let me get this back up on the map. There's an airport that's up over here, and that airfield ended up getting taken over by these different tribesmen going down in there. And you guys see Sweden that's down here. And so they're all basically just being surrounded. And reports as of not that long ago, which you guys will see here in just a sec, is that the different firefights and whatnot are already breaking out. And again, just thousands upon thousands of them. Thousands upon thousands of them that are rolling down there. Smokey says Islam claims to be of peace, but their definition of peace is a world that is cleansed of all infidels. Yeah, I mean, you're getting pretty close to it when you describe it that way. Being cleansed of all infidels, you are getting damn close to it, but they don't have to cleanse of infidels, right? You could always pay your jizya if you want to live underneath them. What is that? Airborne professor in the house. Hell yeah, I become a true supporter. Yeah, I mean, as long as you pay your jizya, you're good to go. They don't have to cleanse the world of, you know, Christians and basically non-radical Islamists, right? They don't have to cleanse the world of everybody, but that's kind of what they want to do. And this is another, you know, random convoy that's heading down there overnight. Now, yesterday, I ended up seeing a massive convoy of Kurds that were stacked up, getting ready to go down and join the fight. But they've got a long way to make it down there, and that's exactly what I told you guys. I got a feeling they're going to end up getting stopped on their way down in there. Dave Ransford says Islam has to modernize if humanity is ever going to achieve peace, or it needs to go the way of the Aztecs. It is not going to modernize. I don't know how to tell you this. Like, these radical Islamic terror organizations are not going to modernize. And that's what makes it so easy to call all of this BS. So easy to call all this crap. It was easy to call Jelani on his BS just based off of his ideology, because they won't change. If Jelani was to come out, and I want you to think about this, right? And I heard a recording earlier today that was allegedly from HTS that they had put out over the radio to their troops, and somebody ended up recording it. And they were yelling at them, telling them to put their dang phones away, stop showing them like beating the crap out of the Druze, stop, and this was from yesterday, stop showing them beating the crap out of the Druze, stop showing them like murdering them in the streets, stop doing all that. Absolutely go kill them, every man, woman, and child. Just don't record it. Just don't record it. And somebody ended up grabbing that audio and leaking it out. Maybe I have it stacked up in the stack. Honestly, I don't remember. Airborne Professor, E4 Mafia turned professor. That's freaking baller, man. I love that. God, I love the freaking E4 Mafia, man. Y'all getting some wild stuff. Anyways, yeah, this video reportedly out of Damascus overnight of a lot of these forces that were on their way heading down there, and allegedly of HTS troops blocking the roadway and not letting them get down there. There you go. There's your roadblock. Two guys with like bright orange vests standing in the middle of the road. Now, how many people do you think they actually blocked off? And wait till you get around the corner. Look at that. Just people stacked up in the back of pickup trucks getting ready to go right down there. Mossad probably leaked it. Yeah, dude. You know, I don't know, man. Violent Amish. Who the heck said violent Amish, man? Like, what is with some of these random comments that you guys end up having? All right, so again, this video that I'm about to play reportedly is already on the outskirts of Sweden, where the fighting has already been breaking out. I don't know how many videos of random dudes running around with RPGs and shooting around corners you need to see to understand what they're up against, right? But regardless of how stupid they are and how crappy at fighting they are, the sheer numbers that are on their way down there are insane, are absolutely insane. I want to remind you of the words that I just played of Netanyahu at the very beginning of this video that said that he is not going to stand for this stuff. They're not going to watch the Druze get massacred, and that they're going to stand with them. And that also, you know, like, nobody came to bail the Jews out of the Holocaust, and now the Druze are facing the same genocide, and that Israel is going to stand up for them. Now, there is reports right now of Israeli airstrikes, of airstrikes that are taking place against some of these forces that are on their way down over into Syria. I actually got in a bit of a griping contest with the senior news correspondent from I-24 for the Middle East, whatever, over on X, where he tried stating that Israel told him that they were not currently conducting airstrikes down there. And I said, well, that's weird. Why would Israel admit to doing that? He's like, dude, they've been claiming airstrikes over the last 48 hours. Why would they not claim these ones? It's like, because the Trump administration told them not to do it. That's a pretty good reason. On top of that, then we had Marco Rubio turn around and all of these other freaking Republicans that jumped out and were like, no, it's amazing. Like, we did great things. Diplomacy is actually working over there. Like, all hail diplomacy, right? Like, we did a good job by telling them that they need to freaking come to the freaking table. Nope, that didn't work. You know how I know it didn't work? Because of this. Absolutely freaking nuts, right? And that is, again, just a portion of the forces so far that have descended down there, and all of that fighting supposedly taking place overnight. This video that's coming up over here is from the outskirts. Let me get this up. I gotta mute it because you guys aren't going to understand a dang word she's saying anyways. But allegedly these videos that are now up on your screen are of the outskirts, those other towns off to the west and west to the north, to the northwest, of the Islamic jihadists that are all rallying against the Druze that are going in and slaughtering them. They're burning their houses down. It's a freaking genocide. I don't know how else to say that. I literally don't know how else to tell you that. It is a quite literal genocide. And I see somebody questioning the words in which I use. There you go. House on fire, man just standing around like enjoying his life. D-R-U-Z-E, Druze. It's actually a really interesting religion when you go and you look it up. It's very secretive. Ended up coming around, I want to say it was like 1000 AD. It's kind of Islamic-ish based, but it's not. Not even freaking close. Their religion within itself, to actually read all of the texts and everything else, you have to be it's not adopted. I'm trying to think of the actual word, but basically you got to be certified in order to get all of the teachings, all of that stuff over in there. So it's a very secret religion. It's not something that you can just turn around and join and be like, hey, I'm Druze. From my understanding of it, it's one of those things that you're kind of born into and that you've got to be brought into via your family. So it's completely and totally different. But a lot of people do compare it to Islam. I think I've made the mistake of doing that before in my past. I'm freaking human. It's not. It's a little bit different, but you will hear some of the same words coming out of them. You will hear them say things like Assalamu alaikum and things of that nature, but that is not, it's different. It's not the same. Usually Amish are just old school Dutch people around here. Oh, dude, don't even get me started on the Amish. I love me some Amish, to be perfectly honest with you. So Jonathan Hessen also ended up reporting tonight. For those of you that don't know, he is Israeli 7 News. All right, he's the editor-in-chief over there. He is the TFTN president, and he ended up putting out that the Israeli Air Force has launched high-intensity strikes against Bedouin columns flooding into Sweden. The tribes moving forward should reconsider. Strikes will intensify unless they withdraw. Now, he ended up putting that out after I ended up seeing videos of what appeared to be airstrikes. And that's kind of where it gets interesting, because all of the videos of airstrikes I ended up seeing coming out of that location of locals that I follow, those videos quickly got taken down, right? So I'd see videos of airstrikes taking place at nighttime. They weren't during the day. It was at nighttime. I'd see videos of airstrikes, what was reported to be as airstrikes, and then they'd disappear once they ended up coming out. on top of a stem of the, I can't even read your whole name, friend. Just wanted to thank you for what you are doing. God bless you, everyone watching the world, and God bless America. Well, thank you very much, friend. I greatly appreciate that. Really, really do. So yeah, lots of reports of airstrikes, but according to, like I said, the senior news correspondent over at I-24 for the Middle East ended up saying that they had talked to is like the spokesperson for the Israeli military, and they had said no, they haven't conducted any since Wednesday night. K. Gasalam, man, I can't even read, man. I need to get my readers down here. 5,000 ended up gifting out a Speak the Truth membership. Appreciate you, man. All right, here we go. Here is more houses of Druze being burnt down again on the outskirts.
الله أكبر من قرية المزرعة يلا حيهم من بلد المزرعة هاي بيوت الدروز الخنازير يلا حيهم يلا حيهم يلا حي الأبطال.
So more and more videos like this are going to continue to come out over the next 24 to 40 hours. It's just sheer numbers, man. Like, I love them to death. I really do. Like, as far as like the Druze go and Israel and everybody else, love them to death. But there's no way with those sheer numbers that they can hold off. And I mean, they will for a while, because no matter how hard they try, and it's inevitable at this point that Israel is either going to start, if they're not doing it already, because allegedly they denied doing it, but if they're not doing it already, you're going to start hearing about it tomorrow. You're going to start seeing more and more airstrikes coming out of this area tomorrow. This is all right. And again, I ended up putting it out yesterday that we ended up seeing columns of Israeli Defense Force soldiers that were heading into Syria. Now, as an understanding, just general, before I put this video up and everybody goes into a frenzy thinking that the Israeli Defense Force is on their way over there, even the frickin' map has been updated over on Google Maps. Israel has been holding down, particularly in this region. There is a Druze, tribe that kind of occupies this region up over here by Mount Hermon, right? Like right up over here, if I was to zoom in on it, there you can see Damascus. Israel has kind of like moved in and established this buffer zone up over and along the border. And so the video that you're about to see is likely, I'm going to throw it out there, it's likely coming out of somewhere inside of this buffer zone. But there was also reports that Israel had pushed into Syria already, that the IDF had done that. Devil You Don't Know says, are they going to blame the Druze occupation? Believe it or not, I'm actually already seeing that. There is people that are out there complaining right now saying that it is the Druze that want to control this land, and that is the reason they're not giving it up to HTS. Basically, that they all need to step in line, and that is the Druze that want to control this little area of traffic. So yeah, they are. There's also people that are blaming this on Israel, claiming that Israel wants to do another land grab, as if Israel doesn't have enough problems to deal with right now. But that's what they're blaming it on. Danny Golan, stand with our Druze brothers. They are the most genuine and loyal people I've had the honor to serve with and call brothers unto this day. That's freaking amazing, right? And I think that Israel, like, and that is the general sentiment that I end up getting out of Israelis, is that like the Druze are extremely loyal and they're extremely faithful. And this video actually that I'm playing right now goes to show that. Absolutely goes to show that these are Druze on the Syrian side of the border that are welcoming in the Israeli Defense Force as they are like rolling into town. They all line the street waiting for them to go in there. And I think everybody is just kind of like sitting around and waiting for Israel to go over and actually act. Now, if that's the case, there is going to be a buttload of dead jihadists that are on their way to go and slaughter the freaking Druze. That's going to happen. See Blondie report, Jelani, my friend, check the news. Brother, I've listened to Jelani long enough. I've seen him long enough. Do you want me to check the news? Like, do you want me to check Interpol and show you what's happening over on the Interpol website with Jelani? Because I can do that. Because, yeah, he's still wanted by Interpol. He's still sanctioned by the UN. He is an internationally recognized terrorist. HTS is an internationally recognized terror organization. Just because that HTS fighters inside of Damascus voted him in as the interim president doesn't make him the interim president. And just because a bunch of radical Islamists want him to be president doesn't make him president. Period. He overthrew Well, he didn't even overthrow. Really, Assad just tucked tail and ran away in the middle of the night with the help of some Russians. And then he declared himself president, right? Like, that's like, if we're going to be honest, that's what's going on. This video is of a university over inside Syria where Druze and Christians are being attacked. And I saw a lot of different reports of this happening after the Druze actually stood their ground down in the south. Guess what? People decided that, nope, they want to just attack everybody now. Man, that is a religion of peace right there if I ever saw one. Armatin, Texas. A. Martin TX 777 says Satan is a murderer. Combined yet? I'm going to be honest. I am not following that super chat, Mr. Martin, Texas. I am not following that. But yeah, here's your religion of peace doing religion of peace things where they just, go and kick everybody out. That's not anything else. So that's actually taking place over in Syria as we speak. So it's not just what's taking place down in the south, which is why I'm saying, hey, listen, Syria, like literal like civil war that's taking place over there. And it's important that everybody take notice of this because it is going to evolve. It is going to get worse. There is no diplomacy that's going to stop this. Right? Like a lot of these people that are going down there and going to assault the Druze, they're not an HTS. They're just random tribal jihadists that want to go down there and start killing the Druze because they feel like their Muslim brethren, the Bedouins, are under attack. And so they want to go down there and they want to defend them. So it's not like the United States government can stand up and just like demand a ceasefire. And this type of crap obviously is going to continue to happen because there is a power vacuum. And somebody is going to want to take charge after all this. Yeah, jihad is like part of the thing. Mike says, looks like a junior high school food fight. Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? But there are some other ones that are pretty freaking gnarly. But there's no amount of diplomacy that's going to stop what just took place. There is going to be more bombs dropped by Israel. I would be shocked if Israeli defense troops do like if the IDF doesn't make their way down there within the next couple days, just because of the sheer numbers of people that are descending on Sweda right now. I would be shocked if the IDF doesn't go down there. Saw a report earlier that a brigade was going to get pulled out of Gaza and get moved over into Syria in preparation for this. With the sheer numbers of freaking jihadists that are rolling in on Sweda, like the IDF just can't send in a couple numbers because they're also going to get slaughtered. Like you can be as advanced as a military as you want, but numbers do matter to an extent, especially when you're trying to be an assaulting force. Man, well, if we're to shift out of there for just a hot minute and go start talking about southern Lebanon, like I said, Israel's also got other problems, right? They've been going after Hezbollah over inside southern Lebanon over the last like week and a half to 2 weeks, going over and knocking out key members of Hamas and also key members mainly of Hezbollah. They've also taken out different weapon storage facilities and everything else. So that has been going on. And then probably, in my opinion, one of the most, I don't want to say this, well, here, you know what? Let me just show you guys this real quick and get this airstrike up on the screen because it's just a good airstrike. This is Gaza, by the way. Yeah, so I'm just going to mute that and get back up on the screen. So, yeah, Israel's still fighting their butts off over inside Gaza. A. Martin TX coming back again. Satan is a murderer, convinced yet? Again, I am still lost in what you're trying to tell me inside that super chat, man. I need you to be more specific. I'll read it, but I just need you to be more specific. Israel is still fighting their butts off over inside the Gaza Strip. The humanitarian aid distribution checkpoints or the humanitarian aid distribution points have come under attack in the recent days. I can't remember if it was this morning or yesterday. I think maybe it was yesterday. They ended up reporting that 20 civilians ended up getting trampled over there, and then GHF ended up sharing pistols of Hamas and things of that nature that were down there. They said that one of their contractors ended up getting threatened by somebody in the crowd with a firearm, and several other things like that. So Gaza is falling back into chaos again. Lebanon's falling back into chaos again. You got the Houthis that fired ballistic missiles yesterday, and now Israel's got this crap to deal with over inside of Lebanon. And on top of all of that, let me see, because I just want to get it. Yeah, here it is. This ended up getting reported out of Gaza today. And I'm just going to put this graphic up on the screen. I talked about this. I put out a tweet over on my X account today that details this. The Latin Patriarch out of Jerusalem ended up putting out a post that included the picture that is on the left side of the screen, claiming that the Israeli Defense Force had basically bombed this church or attacked this church, and that multiple people had been killed, multiple people had been wounded, etc. Problem is that the image that's on the left side of your screen, the one with the image that's in the red box up in the top right corner, that image on the left side is fake. And as you can see, by their flyer right there in the middle of your screen that they ended up putting out, it includes that image. The problem is, again, that it's fake. That image makes it appear as if the entire church ended up getting destroyed. And people were screaming and yelling this morning that Israel ended up attacking a Catholic church over inside of Gaza. Israel said, hey, we're aware of the reports. We're going to look into it. Matt ended up doing Matt things, and I went over and I just started investigating. As it turns out, there is 2 real images that are known of this particular church following, a munition that ended up hitting the church. One of them is in the that red square that's over on the left panel on the screen, and the other one is being put out in that statement down there. So it was a tiny chunk of the building that ended up getting hit. Israel ended up coming out with statements saying that there was a firefight in the area, and that essentially a chunk of one of their munitions ended up hitting this Catholic church. That was it. So it was literally collateral damage. And as you can see from the 2 different images, like the actual factual images, as you can see on your screen, it was a tiny chunk out of the top of the building that ended up getting taken out. That was it. But this image over here that's on the left is what was being spread to try to make it seem as if Israel leveled the entire church. Now, there's a couple different things that we're able to look at in order to identify and say that this is complete and total misinformation. And what's bad is it's actually a really good fake. That image on the left, I ended up dumping it into 2 different AIs, and both the AIs said that yes, that image is a genuine image. They don't detect any AI generation of that image. But at the same time, they said not a snowball's chance in hell is it that church. And if you look at this building right here, this ended up coming off of Google Images. All right, well, you go over to Google Maps, you pull it up. This is one of the images that people end up posting on this side. You can see this 45-degree angle here underneath the cross under number 2, and then number 1 is actually pointing at this long run of the building. And as you can see, it's not tiered in any way. It's just straight. And then you go over and you look at this image, and what you can see is a much steeper, very much steeper portion of that wall that ends up coming out, but it ends up having this step. Now that step is not noticeable anywhere else. Additionally, what you end up seeing in the actual image is a buttload of trees that are behind it. Right? Of the actual strike, there's a buttload of trees behind it. Over in this one, there's no trees. All the trees magically disappeared, which doesn't happen. And there's a couple other things that are extremely noticeable to me. One is this freaking electrical wire that's running up to the top of that cross. That electrical wire is broken, and you can actually see that electrical wire up here on this image inside of that red box. There's electrical wire there and one there. Long story short, somebody developed a really good fake in order to put this out. We now know that it's a fake because not that long ago, let me get it up over here on your screen, just in case anybody wants to tell you that Israel completely and totally demolished that church. We know for a fact that it's a fake. And we know it's a fake because they ended up holding mass tonight over inside of that church. And there is an image fresh out of that church that ends up showing you that it hasn't been completely and totally demolished, but people are still going to sit there and tell you that it is. Smokey says, Jelani, like many other, live under the rule of Tekiah, which is permissible under the day of judgment. Yeah, they absolutely do. The cross is different too. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that ended up going into that that I looked at. I actually spent about 2 hours poring over that image, like looking over Google Maps, trying to get everything aligned and figuring out whether or not it was a real image before I put it out. Because the deal is that the Pope actually, like the Pope's office, ended up coming out and making a statement on it as well, condemning the attack. The Catholic Church ended up getting fooled by Palestinian propaganda. And it pissed off a crapload of Catholics. It pissed off a crapload of Christians. It pissed off a crapload of people around the world. And there is a very good chance that nobody is going to correct the record on this, which is the craziest part about it all. The rule of tequila. No, not tequila, tequila. Taqiyya, the Islamic art of lying in order to advance like your religious purpose or whatever, dude. I forget like the whole thing behind it, but it basically allows them to lie underneath the religion. It's garbage, and it just drives me nuts. But I figured that if I'm going to end tonight on anything, it's going to be a good note and something that just kind of makes you guys a little bit happier, because I know I'm going to have a buttload. Like I promise you, come tomorrow morning, there's going to be a buttload of information that ends up coming out about this entire thing. Martin, Texas, violence, killing, war every day, too much hate in people's heart. Satan is the author of all of this stuff. We are watching hung now the real enemy. False tensions deceiving man days of Noah. Yeah, that I agree, right? And I do think that we are witnessing some stuff which is pretty telling. I don't think, like, truthfully, I mean, like, you want Matt's opinion. I don't think we're getting towards the end times. If you're a Christian, I don't think you're getting quite to that point yet. Believe me, I've read over Revelations trying to understand it and gone back and analyzed and looked. I don't think you're quite getting to that point yet. But I'll tell you what, I want you guys to listen, because if you don't laugh at this clip, there's something seriously wrong with you.
I was talking with a friend recently, and we were talking about, one of the big dangers in the world, of course, is nuclear proliferation, though, of course, the Biden administration doesn't care about it. And I was talking about, what is the first truly Islamist country that will get a nuclear weapon? And we were like, maybe it's Iran, maybe Pakistan already kind of counts. And then we sort of finally decided maybe it's actually the UK, since Labour just took over. But
that's it. That was a good joke, man. I don't care who you are. That was funny. That guy actually made it. That was funny, man. That was funny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Somebody did say that, Matt, you look tired. You need to get some sleep. You're absolutely right. I do need to get some sleep. Believe me, I absolutely need it in this life. So I appreciate you guys for joining me for another episode of the Speak the Truth podcast. 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, right back over here. Peace, love, happiness, and God bless, ladies and gentlemen. I'm out of here.